all of these reels and just a quick little testing cast shootout battle, whatever you want to call it. So we've got the Dark Wolf Ultra. I don't have the Black Knight II here, it's still down at the lake, but this is the second generation, basically the one with the fixed brakes, but they are just like the Shimano's, except they're not dynamic. So we'll be putting it up against these variants, but then I do have the Aldebaran 22 still, so we can put it up against them, see how well. But most of you guys, if you remember me out here testing, basically to be a good working BFS reel, for what I use it for anyway, you can tell I've got that set pretty tight. So basically throw this is 1.7 grams, a little bitty, I'm calling them the jelly beans, but those little bean crankbaits, and this one's had a little bit weight added just to, so it still weighs that same, and I just weighed it, it weighs 1.7 grams. So what I want to start with, this is the Acura, Solo King Acura, but this isn't the shallow spool. If you remember right, I did an unboxing. Here's the shallow spool one and the lightest one, like 6.5 grams with the bearing. And I did not take the bearings off, and I'll talk more about that maybe in this video or a different video, but there's a reason why I don't mess with taking bearings off these reels in particular anymore. There's that little bitty, the way to keep the spool pin in, it's like a nightmare. So this is a deep spool one, and I just was rigging it up. I'm going to put it actually on my big sexy, that's 15-pound braid. I'm going to see if these reels can handle bigger, heavier duties than just BFS. But before I do, I just wanted to show you guys how well this reel will cast before we even go into the lighter weight ones. And this is a lightweight spool, and I've got just line put on it. I don't have it tied on, and we'll be switching it to this one because I decided to keep this MicroMonster. Now what I did do is I asked for a partial refund, like 20 bucks back. It'll be $55 reel, since I didn't really want it in the first place, and we'll see what they say, but it's getting put out in this video on the in the battle, right? So I haven't thrown these today. I did throw these a little bit, and I threw this one briefly, and I just want to show you the results. And I'll put these on just to show you. Now, I'm still under the weather, so I'm not gonna be doing a lot of running and walking out that way. You'll just have to take my word for it. So I've got that set pretty tight. And I've got the brakes on, this is a deep spool, set at not quite 3.5, closer to 3 than 3.5. I just want to show you. Okay, so it goes to almost the middle of the road. It is shy of the middle of the road. Let me get one more. But that is 1.7 grams, a complete spool full of 15 pound, it's 15-pound braid. Whoa. Okay, so that is about, and that's about where I could get. I can go one less, but it tends to fluff up. I can't quite get to 60 feet with that little bitty bait, but for me that is a win, because that is a plenty capable. I could get out for whatever I'm wanting to throw, whether it be the shaky heads or whatever, and I could actually, if I wanted to, use 15-pound braid. It holds a ton of line. You could put 10-pound braid or whatever, but those, the deep spools are very capable. If you can take this and throw it almost 60 feet with no sign of backlashing, and I'm sure I could get further with a smaller line. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. Because if you know, the original intention for me for all of these deeper spool ones is to use the deeper spool. So just in that right there, that is definitely going to work for me. So what I'm going to do with this one of these is going on that big sexy I just got back from Bonsai Guy. The other one is probably going on the Carbon Light. I'm not sure which Carbon Light yet. So anyway, let's go right to, you'll have to bear with me while I string it up. We're going to go to the same reel with the deep spool. And I did figure out why this one has crazy resistance, and I figured out part of it. But you can see I freed it up. I got it to free up. I took it apart, it was crazy greased, which is a good thing. It's got a ton of grease, and it's kind of freed up now. It's actually freer than our new Shimano still. But it is 8 to 1, I forgot all about that. That's 8 to 1. and this is 7-to-1. That's why this one kind of initially felt a lot freer right off the bat. As you go down in gear ratios, they will get a lot easier feeling to reel, feel like less resistance, because you are dealing with more power when you crank that handle. That's why if you're throwing, you know, deeper diving cranks or bigger baits, typically a lot of guys, you'll want a little bit slower gear ratio. It gives you more power. No matter how big a handle you use, it'll just give you that more powerful feeling reel. So bear with me, let me get this rigged up, tied on, and then we'll be able to switch it right to the other reel a little bit quicker. Hang on. I got one last eye to go the tip, and that braid is wanting to get frayed. I didn't put a leader on it. This is a 10-pound test. So that is our Probero's 10-pound camo blue. I'm just going to tie a quick knot. Now this is I did not get all that braid off. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So whenever you're tying, if you're going to tie directly, for those of you that don't know, the best knot for me anyway, if you want to tie directly to the snap, to the bait with braid, which I always use a leader, but this is a knot I'd use. Go through it twice, you have a loop, take the loop, tie that. Whoa. Tie that through that, put the bait through that loop, and then cinch all that down. You can wet it or whatever. For today's deal, we're just getting it tied on. We're not going to be fishing with this, we're just casting. So the wind's kind of been coming and going. I was going to think about doing a trout magnet thing just for you guys, but no, trust me, there's just enough breeze. Trout magnet would be not good. So this one I got set up quite a bit freer. I guess I could tighten it up just a hair more. Okay, let's see what the Acura with the shallow spool. It's like 6.5 grams with the bearing. If you remember right, the MicroMonster weighs like just over 7 with the bearing. And I backlashed it right off the bat. Okay, so, and what I have found that, and I still couldn't tell you why, I would think it would be the opposite way. That deeper spool, I was able to go, and it may, I guess I should look at that real quick. It may have a bigger area for the magnets to work against, or I don't know what's going on with it, but it takes less braking with that deeper spool than, whoa, get out of there. Hang on. That isn't going to help it cast. Oh, there's still some in there. You guys can see that by the wind blowing that line. We've got a little bit of a breeze, and sometimes that affects the cast. I've got to wait for it to die down. Okay, let's try this again. Now it likes it almost to 4, not just past 3. Let me see if I can get a good cast here. And I cannot get it to keep from backlashing right now. So if that happens, I don't care where you're at. If it keeps backlashing, keep cranking the brakes up. Figure it out. All right, let me try this again. Okay, middle of the street. I had to crank the brakes up 2 clicks just because there's a little bit more. I guess the wind's a little bit more, and I just cast it a little bit harder. Try to get one more to make sure it gets there. Okay, middle of the street. Well, I stopped it late, but it's not backlashing, and it is either right at, I think it's 1 past 4. Let's go back to, okay, there's one back right at 4. Hang on one second. Okay, easily into the street. I actually stopped it, no backlashing, right at 4. So one more cast. I'm gonna put a little more into this one. It may actually backlash, but I'm casting pretty hard. I'm not casting as hard as I can. You should not, every cast shouldn't be as hard as you can cast, because nobody goes out and fishes all day long. Do you? Like casting as hard as you can every cast? I mean, you cast hard. Okay, middle of the street again. This time let me pull it back. And you can tell I have quite a bit of line on. It's basically as full as that spool will get with 10-pound braid. So this is exactly how I would be out there fishing it. And you can see, except I would actually have that tied on. Now I will tell you, I tied on this one. I had to end up putting tape because I tried tying just the braid on and it would cut through the braid. I'm not talking about through the hole, I'm talking about wrapping it around the way like Jimmy off Rower Fishing suggests. Wrap it like 3 times and cinch it up. It kept snapping the line. It kept cutting through. It's like got sharp edges or something. So I would suggest being careful how you tie a line onto, for sure, these Solo Kings anyway. All right, but we're gonna jump through. So as you can see, very capable reel, just like that, with that braking system. Now let's put this one on for those of you that have whichever MicroMonster you ended up with. That's the I think the shallow spool is the same. It may look a different color, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be made the same way from the dual spool or not. If you guys know the story, I tried to get the dual spool and this is what they sent me. Oh my God. Hang on. Oh, making live videos, especially when you're sick, is not a good idea. I don't know if you guys can tell by my voice, I'm definitely under the weather still, not at work. I don't know if I'll be going back this week. I need to start feeling better pretty quick. In all honesty, just coming out here messing around with this is wearing me out. You can probably tell I got the shakes. And no, I haven't been drinking any alcohol. I should probably been. Should have probably been. Nah, just playing. Oh my gosh, get in there. That is your home. Get in there and stay. You live in there. All I need to do is get that line in and wrapped one good time. I can do this almost with my eyes closed. When I'm not in a hurry, we're trying to do live stuff or whatever. We're gonna go with that. It took it. Took it good enough. Okay. Hang on. Time for the MicroMonster. This is an 8-to-1 also, but it feels way freer than the other Solo King 8-to-1. So we've got the brakes set same way. I may have to adjust them up though, 1 past 4. It seemed to like them the same way. Hang on. Didn't make the street. Try one more before I change something. Okay, almost middle of the street. And if you guys can tell, maybe you can't tell, I'll just tell you. There's definitely, and I'm pretty sure it's just due to the weight. Okay, there's almost middle of the street. It almost feels like it could go down one. You know what? It's probably because of that. It's cutting into the... Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me redo this before I get any further. Oh my goodness. I got that line just enough jacked up that it's causing some problems over there. All right, that'll fix our problem. Redo. And I'm not 100% certain, but comparing better, I almost think this one, it doesn't have quite the line capacity of this one. And it may just be the way I'm looking at them, but I'd almost swear that the Acura has, the shallow spool actually has just a touch more capacity than this MicroMonster. Whoa, dude. That was not good. I may have done it in. Hang on, don't give up. So I've got these right on the edge. I mean, trust me, they're close. If you were out fishing, you may want to go one click up, and I may also, once I do get out fishing, this is just a first kind of initial get out and fish them. All right, I'm gonna cast this one harder, almost to the middle of the street. Not quite. Let me go back where it was. So just in this, and I've only been out here maybe an hour, if that. Just in my initial coming out here and backlashed. So I brought it down and backlashed. And hopefully it'll translate a little. This spool right here, I consider it not quite as good as the Acura spool. And it's probably that almost half a gram weight difference. Just makes a little bit of difference. Okay, so it's almost middle of the street, but I had to crank it up. And I'm gonna call that good, and we're gonna just see what the Dark Wolf Ultra does on this day today, right? So, and I'm gonna do further on the water type deal, but just calling it, that spool right here, and you can see if you watch the unboxing, it just weighed less, and it just has a little bit easy of cast, easier than the MicroMonster, in my opinion. They both are, you know, you can throw that, and it may take me just playing around with it more, the setting on the spool tension and all that. I'm not going to go into crazy on each one right at the moment. So let's go. And then, so we'll know, like, will they hang with the Dark Wolf Ultra? Are they a little behind? Or if you are actually throwing real little baits, are you way better off to just stick with the Dark Wolf Ultra or the Black Knight II? My personal opinion, if you are throwing ultra light, this is a light rod. If you're throwing ultra light, little creek streams, very ultralight stuff, I'd stick with Dark Wolf Ultra. If you're like me though, and you hardly ever get to the creeks and streams, you try to get there, but you end up just doing a lot of regular bass fishing, that baby right there may be the one you want. Even with the deep spool, you may not even need that shallow spool. Hang on. So I don't even know if I want to throw in the Aldebaran 22 because it's not even in the same realm. Just the fact it's 200, you know, it's just like the Kestrel and all that. These are literally reels that even when you can't find them on sale, they're only 75 bucks, but I'm spending like 65 bucks per reel on these guys. I'm waiting for a sale to pop up, and I'm spending not a lot of money for these reels. This Dark Wolf Ultra, and that's the reason I got it. It's got the fixed brakes, so you guys, you know, I'm fishing with the same thing you guys are. You can go on there. Somebody commented this one was on sale yesterday or today or something for $55, the Dark Wolf Ultra. But as far as capabilities, it can do quite a bit. I feel 10-pound test braid is about the thickest thing you could put on it. and then it's still limited a little bit in its capacity. But then you could go with this guy with the deep spool. Well, this one right here. That deep spool, you put 10-pound braid on it, it'll cast down, and you can, you know, use it for longer, you know, if you need to make real crazy long cast for like regular fishing kind of stuff. So anyway, let's see what the Dark Wolf Ultra does. Now it's set up from me, now I got it way up. For some reason it's on number 5, and I'll turn it down if I need to. Okay, I don't know why it's up so high. Let's go down to all the way to 4. Maybe I was throwing, I don't know, maybe I was just throwing stuff real heavy and I had to turn it up. I honestly could not tell you. I don't ever remember setting it at 5. Okay. Go 1 away from 4. It's not hitting the middle of the street, but it feels very restricted. So. Alright, there's the middle of the street. Now there's one lighter than I could go with those other shallow spools. Okay, still no backlashing. There's 3.5, so we're way down. I don't know why I was on number 5. Only thing I can figure, maybe somebody else had monkeyed with this and had it set there. Okay, just past the middle of the street. Now we got a little bit of a breeze. I don't know if you guys can make it out. See the when I can feel it, it's almost too much to cast to get a good accurate cast. Okay, landed smack dab in the middle of the street. I could probably go even lighter. So there's about the setting where that deep spool was when I started out this adventure. Okay, that's about 3 or 4 foot past the middle of the street. So still the better reel for this and lighter. You know, you go lighter, it's only gonna, this reel will pass up the others a little. So yeah, will these hang with the Dark Wolf Ultra? They'll hang close, but no. If you're throwing, you know, say 2 grams and less, I still recommend the Dark Wolf Ultra or the Black Knight II. In any variation, whatever, the older, if you pick up an older one, I'd say it's probably still the better one to have. I sold mine to Charles and got this just so I could still have what you guys are fishing with, that, you know, what's still out there available. As of right now, but for me, and for what I use, I don't know. I have a couple more of these coming, and that's all I will have. I'll have 3 Dark Wolf Ultras. I've got another one of these coming. I don't know that I'll be picking up any more of these MicroMonsters. I guess if you want the deeper spool, because I probably need to get one just to try out the deeper spool. It should be the same as these. It should, in all theory, it should be the same. And okay, I'm gonna do it. I don't really, just so you guys will know, because somebody didn't watch. This is the only little testing video you've probably seen or watched of mine, and you're probably wondering, like, well, why aren't you doing the Aldebaran since you got it out there? Well, since we got it out, might as well rig it up. You can tell I got some blue on it because I have it on my medium light. I guess I should get that rod out and just see how well it casts lighter baits. So bear with me one more time. We're gonna just see how well, and this is 10-pound braid also with the leader, same thing the Dark Wolf Ultra has on it, just different color. See how much better, if any, this casts that bait over the Dark Wolf Ultra. And then we'll be done. Now, I've played around with the Dark Wolf Ultra getting it to that middle of the road, which is 60 feet and further. You can get it a little further with this bait, but man, it's not a lot further. Few foot difference. Same thing when I had the dynamic brakes or whatever. It's just, you know, pushing a bait this light very far. It takes a good reel, good bearings, and I guess I should mention, whoa man, there's bugs starting to fly around out here. All that you've just seen me cast on these new reels, I have not cleaned anything out. So they're kind of on new spool bearings, which usually get a little better as you use them, you know, to where the Dark Wolf Ultra still fairly new reel, and to the 22 for that matter is not crazy old. But as the spool bearings break in, they should get just a touch better. All right, let's try this guy. Now, for some reason, I've got it turned way up too, and I can turn it down if I need to. That spool tension is pretty tight. That's about where I like it. Nope. What did I just witness? A backlash. Maybe I don't need to cast it that hard. Crazy freer. This thing, let me check the freeness of this reel. It's way smoother to reel. Look at that resistance still there though. Okay, right there, matched up where the Dark Wolf Ultra cast. Try one more. Yeah, it's a few foot past halfway in the middle of the road, so 62 to 3 feet, which is what the Dark Wolf Ultra was getting. Now, I don't know why, because it gets fluffy just casting like that, and I'm up to almost 5. I'm like 4 3/4. So I'm gonna call that video. Hopefully you liked it. This is still by far beats the Dark Wolf on ease just by a little. But then on, it's hard to explain. There's not a lot of difference though. In all honesty, for the price difference, it's hard to justify spending this much money for the little bit more performance if you're only throwing like that size and heavier, 1.5, 1.7 grams and heavier. But if you're only throwing around that light and even lighter than the Aldebaran 22. So anyway, I'm out of here. If you guys got any questions, feel free to comment below. I'll try to answer them. I'll talk to you guys later.